Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a special guest joining us, the president of the Virginia Citizens for Defense League. Right now, there's a lot going on in Virginia, probably a lot more than I know and can really grasp. So we're going to try to walk through basically what's going on and hopefully what we can do about it. So if you could, good sir.
Hi, uh, glad to be on. My name is Philip Van Cleve. I'm the president of the Virginia Citizens Defense League. Right in the middle of a storm, a major hurricane or tsunami, whatever you want to call it. I've never seen anything like this.
I haven't either. It really is something. So we've been following it. I've been posting a lot on it in social media, trying to gain attention to what is being proposed there.
Yes.
So can you walk through just basically some of the things that are being proposed that people are
Well,
upset
yeah.
about?
One of the main things is they've got this bill that's like, let's. I call it the "I hate gun owners" bill. It takes like AR-15s or any similar firearm, makes them illegal. They would be totally illegal on July 1. So you go to bed on June 30th, a legal, honest citizen, and July 1 you could be arrested and charged with a felony and sent to prison for having done nothing.
Right.
Um, Rifles are rarely used in crime, extremely low. And
Right.
yet, oh, we've got to do something about these. It's all baloney. We all know that. It's all about confiscation. So they've got that. They want to limit magazine capacity to no more than 10. That's because we got 10 fingers. I think if we had 12 fingers, they'd have said no more than 12. Thank
Agreed.
God we don't. We don't have 2 fingers. And we'd be a crab or something. We'd have some real problems there.
Sure.
So, and then they got another one that makes it unlawful to, if you train somebody and they end up then doing something to attack the government or whatever, you could be charged because of you training these paramilitary. It's it's all totally stupid, and it's all aimed at people like you and me that don't commit crimes, that are, the guys that go out and work hard and pay their taxes and follow the rules. But when it comes to a constitutional right, and we have a very strong equivalent of the Second Amendment in Virginia. I imagine you do in North Carolina.
We do.
Ours here says that a well-regulated militia consisting of the body of the people is right there. We are the militia, all of us. Trained to arms is the proper, natural, and safe defense of a free state. Therefore, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's right there. And but that's some of what's going on. They're going to add a lot more universal background checks, red flag laws. I'm sure you guys know all the dangers in that. Not only to the Second Amendment, the First, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, 10th, 14th Amendment.
Yep.
It's like they take the Constitution and drop it in the shredder for
Exactly.
the red flag laws. So they're proposing all of this stuff.
Exactly. So, and from what I understand, with anything like you were talking about with the semi-automatic rifles or let's say a pistol that could accept a magazine greater than 10 rounds, none of that is grandfathered, correct?
Yeah, that they were going to, at first they were going to take them away.
Okay.
Then when they saw this huge tidal wave of gun owners standing up, then they said, "Oh, we'll grandfather those if you register them." And it wasn't the registration even. When they said grandfathered, we'd already said, we predicted this. We said, no, we're not compromising. Who are we to give away the rights of the next generation? Who am I to say, well, I can have my AR-15, but you younger generation, no, you don't get, no, we're not doing it. We're not, there's no reason for this. And gun owners are fed up. We're tired of this in Virginia. We're not going to put up with it. And they're saying, we turned out 100,000 people over a month period across the state at local government meetings. They normally have 10, 15 people at a single meeting. We've turned out over 3,000 people.
Yep.
All of them are going, I've never seen this many people for anything. This is grassroots. This is people like you and me standing up and saying, no more. I'm done with this. It's incredibly powerful. You'd have to be a part of this to really understand the magnitude.
Absolutely. And but as you just intimated there, there's been a growing movement for creating sanctuary counties or sanctuary cities, as it applies to the Second Amendment anyway, to try to preempt some of what's perceived to be coming down the road. So a lot of people have asked me, so I will ask you, and let me just back up for folks that haven't seen some of the coverage here as to what's going on. So there was recently essentially a majority of Democrats elected to the legislature, as well as now the governor is a Democrat. So they're pushing together along with Michael Bloomberg and some of his organizations to put all these bills forward that we just were speaking about. So because of that, there's been a backlash. So a lot of people are asking me essentially, do I think there's a possibility that the bills may not pass? I don't live in Virginia. I'm not privy to that. So do you think that there's chance that the uprising will cause enough Democrats to kind of oppose it?
There's absolutely a chance of that. The magnitude of this is incredible. Even the eastern shore of Virginia, it's kind of an island off off to the
Right,
far east of the state. That's where our governor came from.
right,
That's his home base, and that's Democrats there. Both the two counties that make up the eastern shore both went sanctuary, Second Amendment sanctuary. So again, even the governor's own home base is shaking their head at him
right,
and saying, "No, we don't want this." So there are a lot of Democrats. Some of these Democrats won by razor thin majorities. The
right,
Democrats are trying to say, "Oh, this election was a referendum on gun control. People want gun control because they elected us." Well, you know what? All the strong pro-gun people all got reelected just fine, handily.
sure,
Even with huge amounts of Bloomberg's money going against those guys, they survived. The reason the Democrats took over is there was quote unquote gerrymandering, that the courts were going to re-gerrymander, and they did, and they made a bunch of districts in the southeast near in the Tidewater area much more Democrat. And so the Republicans there lost, and the Democrats got the House. This is not about guns. That election was nothing to do with guns. It was all to do with gerrymandering.
sure.
And and again, we're all seeing this, and we're saying no. You have no mandate on. You've got a They have a one margin vote in the Senate. One,
Right,
some mandate, right?
right,
And
exactly.
five in the House. When we got 100 members of the House, they got five, and that was all because of gerrymandering. They've got a mandate. They do not have a mandate.
Right. And I was hoping you were going to get to that. So I really think that um, people always ask, what can we do kind of thing? And what's happening in Virginia, everybody turning out at all these local meetings is exactly what you should be doing at this point. And even though there's no way to quantify what's actually happening in terms of the impression it's having on those politicians in swing districts, they're noticing it, I assure you. So keep doing it, and we shall see. So, on that note, in terms of quantifying what's going on, I, I saw online that you guys were holding a rally, I believe, on the 20th. Is that correct?
Yeah, January 20th,
Okay.
2020.
And some folks were asking about some folks said to me that they believe that these items might come up for vote first.
It's possible. They could pull any tricks they want. Usually they don't. Usually lobby day is early enough in the session that they haven't really processed the bills through all the committees.
Okay.
But even if it comes up for a vote, it'll come up for a vote in one house. It still has to wait for crossover and then go to the other house.
Right.
So bills, even if they were ready to, they passed each opposite house and were ready to go to the other, we would still be there in time to kill them at that point.
Okay.
If they haven't already got the message. I mean,
Right.
how do you miss if you've seen the map,
I have.
Virginia with green and black that's on our website. We're not done yet. We got two more or three more of the main localities coming up. So that map's going to get a lot greener yet, as green as it is.
Sure. Nope.
That's the message.
I agree, and I'll roll that in here on the screen so the viewers can see it. It's just depicting all the places that have declared sanctuary counties. So there's a lot of sheriffs as well that are standing up and
Yes.
saying that they won't enforce
Yeah.
those laws. So
And some Commonwealth attorneys saying, I'm not going to prosecute this stuff. I've got real criminals to prosecute, not going after good people.
right, right. Okay, so on the 20th, do you want to just go into that rally a little bit as to what's going to be going on there for folks that are thinking about attending?
Sure. It starts at 8 a.m. and that's where mostly the Virginian people will be going in, those that can, to lobby. The turnout on this is, we don't know for sure, but every pointer is saying this is going to be huge, huge. I mean, you know, this whole thing is going to be historic, and I wouldn't be surprised if that turnout isn't historic. I mean to tell you, this is taking on a life of its own. And anyhow, at 11 o'clock, we're going to have a rally. We're going to have
Yep.
a bunch of speakers there. For example, I'm sure your listeners remember a case in Texas not that long ago where a guy went in to shoot up a church, and another person, another gentleman, Mr. Williford, took his AR-15 and put an end to that.
Yep.
And he's going to be one of our speakers, as will
Excellent.
Dick Heller of DC versus Heller, and quite a few others. We got like 10 people lined up, all patriots with good messages. That starts at 11. It's right on the Capitol steps.
Okay.
So they want to go to downtown Richmond, right at the Capitol. That's where all this is going to be happening. And
Absolutely.
we're trying to arrange buses. Other people are bringing up buses from other states as well. It's going to be amazing.
How would people find out information on that in terms of what you just said, the buses and stuff like
Sure.
that?
Just go to VCDL, the initials for Virginia Citizens Defense League, vcdl.org organization. Right there on the front page, right front and center, is the information on buses and other things dealing with the rally.
Okay.
Virginia honors the concealed carry permits of everywhere, including North Carolinians. So feel free to come out whatever you're listening to this. If you got a concealed carry permit, we're an open carry state, so you can openly carry a handgun on your hip holstered
Okay.
without a permit. So it's going to be cold. So I think most people will be concealing. It is January in Virginia, so
Absolutely. People think it's the South, but it still gets cold, I assure you.
yes, it does.
Okay, I think we hit most of the big topics. Is there anything kind of that you want to cover that you think people need to know about that they don't know about that isn't getting coverage?
Well, our attorney general just ruled that these sanctuaries don't have any legal strength to them. Well, we've said that all along. We've got actually pretty good laws that say localities can't make their own gun control. Well, that kind of worked against us here because they can't really do much there, but they can stand up, and they have stood up to the state saying we're standing with our citizens. We don't want any more gun control that affect law-abiding, decent citizens. Any of this unconstitutional stuff that's not aimed at criminals. So, Attorney General, who also thinks we don't need to enforce marijuana laws or illegal immigration laws, suddenly says, "Oh, but we've got to enforce these unconstitutional gun laws." Well, he's such a hypocrite. It's amazing.
Against law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
But so, and to that point, um, you said the localities can't make up their laws, but as you stated earlier, and I think it's important to double down on, not only does the Constitution of the United States prevent these laws, but also the Constitution of Virginia does as well. So the laws themselves, on their face, are not valid.
They're not valid.
But you don't want to have to go through a court process to make that happen. It's much easier to stop it before they're
We want to
implemented.
stop it before it goes anywhere. If they want to put bills in that go after criminals that don't affect you and me, if they want to put in bills for mental health, like get more beds and more money to help treat people that are in crisis, we'll stand behind them on that.
Sure.
But if it affects you or me in any way negatively, where we got to jump through one more hoop, give up a gun, anything, we're fully opposed. There's going to be no compromise. I don't care what they offer us. We're not compromising on that stuff. Not happening. We've had enough. We're done. Go after criminals. Help with the mental health system. Leave you and I alone.
So I agree 100%. I am a no compromise kind of guy as well. I absolutely believe that we've given up way too much already,
Yes.
and
Yes,
any
we
other
have.
step is just incrementalism to remove guns from the future generations.
It's not about crime. You and I know that. This is about disarming us. Crime is the excuse. Oh, we've got crime in Virginia and even in North Carolina, I believe, has been dropping for a decade. Gun ownership has been soaring
Yep.
thanks to people like Obama and now our governors. When you threaten gun owners, they're going to buy more guns, and more people are going to become gun owners to protect that right for themselves. It's ineptness on a grand scale. I don't know what to say.
It truly is. I agree with you there. Okay. The website that you mentioned earlier, I'll roll it in here on the screen. If anybody out there wants to support you, definitely check it out. Get involved with these rallies if you can. If you can't, obviously joining, becoming a member, and any type of donations that you can to support everything that's going into this, because it's not just this rally, right? The fight goes on
Right. Oh, the
afterwards.
fight will go on for a couple of years, but this is the big
Right.
one. If we can back them off on these gun bills, and a lot of organizations from around the country, we've even received large donations because they're saying if you can stop this in Virginia, you may well save us from going through this, or you'll show us the template. How did you stop it, and how can we duplicate what you did in Virginia?
And I would add that the opposite of that is true as well. The other side is looking at it as if they can get it done in Virginia, they can get it done anywhere.
Yes.
And people are always, because I make videos, so I see a lot of comments, thousands every day, and people say, "Oh, well, they voted for it." You can say that now, but 20 years ago when I moved down here, no one ever thought about gun control here in the Carolinas, and now people are thinking about it, that it's a possibility. I mean, that's insanity. This stuff spreads. It's
Bloomberg
cancer.
sends a lot of money down in I guarantee you guys are in the crosshairs. You're okay
Absolutely, we are.
right now, but it's coming. And you've
Yep,
got some bills I've heard that have
we
been put
do.
in that are really bad.
We do. And Texas is the same way. They're coming everywhere.
There's nowhere
Nowhere.
to run. You
There's
stand up and you
right,
fight
right,
because it's our country. I'm
right,
not going to run.
right.
This is our country. It's not. It's not. These are just our representatives. They're temporary people that are to be protecting our rights.
Right.
You stand up and fight right where you're at, and don't let them take an inch. If they try to take an inch, we're going to fight for every one of them. Every bit, they're going to know that they're in a heck of a fight.
Agreed. Agreed on all fronts. Anything else you want to say before we close it out?
No, I appreciate you doing this. We need to make sure gun owners in all the states are aware of this. This is serious. Bloomberg is really, you're not paranoid if they really are trying to get you. And Bloomberg cannot stand gun owners.
Agreed.
And he wants total control. He does. He wants all this. He's pushing this and he's putting big bucks in. Money does make a difference. The only thing that counters it are people like you and grassroots people standing up and saying, you can have all the money you want. We're not voting for you. We're going to vote for somebody else. You're out of office if you vote for any of this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I really do. Hearing it right from the battlefield itself over there in Virginia and the guys that are leading the fight. I appreciate everything that y'all are doing over there. We need more groups like you around the country doing what you're doing. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you're watching and you want to help them out, again, the links will be down below in the video description if you want to get involved either financially or be there for the fight. But thank you again. I truly appreciate it. Thanks to everybody who's watching. If you guys are watching this video and you think that you have friends that would be interested in it, make sure you share it, spread this as wide as possible, and get the message out there. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
And in case he's watching, Attorney General, although you think that you will be able to bully us into compliance by falsely labeling us felons, may I remind you and every oath taker of the oath you swore, you are public servants and we are your employers with a moral duty and obligation to refuse and fight tyranny. Let us not forget that the people who hid Anne Frank were breaking the law and the people who killed her were following it. Thank you.